The phone buzzed on the counter, its screen flickering blue. I grabbed it, his phone, before I could stop myself. My thumb hovered over the unlock, heart thudding. He'd left it here after the kids' bedtime stories. Face down, charging. The lock screen showed a single missed call from a number I didn't recognize. I swiped. Safe Space blinked at me, an app I'd never seen. No icon, just a text. My fingers shook as I tapped it. Password prompt. I stared at it, breath fogging the screen. His password, our anniversary. No, wait, my birthday? No, his mother's. I tried them all. Nothing. The app closed. He walked into the kitchen, towel draped over his shoulders, still wet from the shower. You found it, didn't you? I froze. What app is this? He sighed, stepping closer. Just a work thing. A client. It's nothing. Nothing? I held up the phone. You've got a Safe Space app with encrypted messages? His eyes darted to the counter where I dropped the phone. It's not what you think. I flipped the screen toward me again. The app was gone. You just deleted it. No, you... He reached for the phone, but I pulled back. Who's Em? The name glowed in my memory. The last message he'd typed before locking the phone. I can't keep doing this. Tell her, just not yet. He blinked. What? I narrowed my eyes. The messages, they were all to Em. You said it was a client. What's their full name? He looked away. It's not important. Is it a hurt? My voice cracked. Or a him? He grabbed my wrist. Stop, I'm not cheating. I yanked free. Then what's this? I thrust a sticky note at him, the one he'd left on the fridge that morning. Don't wait up. Em. He snatched it, crumpling it in his fist. It's my sister. Em. My sister? Your sister? I laughed, bitter. You never talked to your sister. She's struggling. I'm helping her, that's all. Helping her? How? I pointed at the app's ghost on the phone. With what? Secrets? He didn't answer. That night, I dug through his laptop. A draft email caught my eye. Em's debt isn't mine. Stop asking. Another. I'll pay it, just don't let her know. The next morning, I found a hotel receipt in his jacket pocket. Date, last Thursday. The same day he claimed to be working late. I didn't ask, I followed him. He met a woman outside a downtown diner. Not my sister, a stranger. And when I got home, I found the real twist. A stack of bills in his name, all under my health insurance. Her debt wasn't his, it was mine. He'd been hiding my medical costs all along. The one I'd sworn to pay, the surgery I'd postponed. He'd been paying them for me, all along. I stared at the stack of bills, my hands shaking. He's been paying them all along. The words looped in my head like a broken record. I'd been so busy accusing him of betrayal that I'd ignored the quiet, relentless way he'd shouldered my burden. When I confronted him later, his face crumpled. I couldn't tell you, he said, voice raw. You'd already postponed the surgery once. What if you'd said no again? I wanted to be mad. I should have been. But guilt coiled around my throat. I'd sworn I'd handle it, that I'd never let him take my problems. But I had. Again and again. The next morning, I found his journal. Flipping through the pages, I discovered entries like, "She doesn't trust me to help. I keep trying, but it's like she thinks I'll break if I try too hard." Or, "Took the second job, she'll hate me when she finds out." My chest ached. I'd never told him he had to carry it all. Then, a new twist. A highlighted article in the journal about a rare condition I'd never mentioned. Symptoms: memory loss, fatigue. My symptoms, the ones I'd brushed off as stress. He'd been researching my health, terrified I'd hide it again. And I'd thrown it all away, accusing him of lies when he'd only been trying to protect me. I slammed the journal shut, my hands trembling. The article, it wasn't about me. It was about a degenerative condition in men, symptoms mirroring mine. Fatigue, memory gaps. The same ones he'd brushed off as stress. He'd been researching his own body, not mine. I rushed to the medicine cabinet, yanking open the back panel. Behind the painkillers, I found his hidden file. Lab results. A specialist's note. Prognosis uncertain. Recommend isolation for 3 months. The dates matched the weeks he'd vanished on business trips. He'd been hiding his illness, not mine. All this time, I'd accused him of selfishness. He'd been trying to protect me from a future where he'd vanish for good. I found him in the garage, staring at a photo of us from our wedding. "You kept it from me," I whispered. He didn't look up. "You'd have thrown your life away to care for me." A car horn blared outside. I sank onto his lap, my tears soaking into his shirt. "We don't get to do this alone," I said. My phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. I grabbed it, half asleep, and froze. A text from Jake's number. "I'll be late. Hess says the relapse is worse this time." My pulse spiked. Hess. I'd never met his sister. He'd only mentioned her once. "Lost to addiction," he'd said, voice hollow. I scrambled for his phone on the nightstand. My fingers trembled as I unlocked it. There it was, a hidden app labeled Safe. Inside, 47 messages from S. The last one? "He knows, doesn't he? Tell him to stop being a hero. I'm not worth it." I called Jake. No answer. By 3 a.m., I'd printed every receipt in his wallet. One stuck out, a hotel near the rehab center he'd never told me about. I snapped a photo, sent it to his chat, and waited. His reply at 3:48 a.m. "Don't do this. Please." The next morning, I found his old burner phone in the junk drawer, charged, active. Messages with S dated back 6 months. "You're paying for my meth again? Why?" "Because I can't watch you die, idiot." My throat tightened. Jake's texts grew frantic. "She overdosed last week. I'm borrowing against the house." I confronted him at dinner. "Why didn't you tell me?" He stared at his plate. "You'd hate me for enabling her." I threw a napkin at him. Hotel receipt, rehab bill, loan documents. His jaw twitched. "You think I'm cheating? Fine. Go ahead. Hate me." I did, for 3 days. Until his mom called, breathless. "Jake's sister tried to kill herself. He's at the hospital." I drove there, clutching the burner. In the waiting room, I met his sister. Pale, gaunt, with a trembling smile. "Jake's the only one who... Thanks for hating him," she whispered. The final twist hit me later, in the car. His text to S had been begging her to stay clean. But why the hotel? Why the lies? I opened his laptop, a draft email, unsent. "I'm selling the house. Mom's taking me to Colorado. I can't watch you fight this alone." My hands shook. The real betrayal wasn't his secrets. It was my own blindness. I'd spent months assuming the worst, while he'd been bleeding out in silence. I knocked on the hospital door, his sister's rehab facility glowing like a sterile tomb. Inside, she lay slouched in a wheelchair, IV lines snaking into her wrists. Jake's voice cracked through the hallway. "You shouldn't be here." "The hell I shouldn't," I hissed. "You sold our house." He gripped my arm, his wedding ring cold against my skin. "She's not my sister." The words hit like a punch. His ex. The one he'd left me for 3 years ago. The one I'd forgiven, or thought I had. Only now, it wasn't a past life. It was a daily ritual. Him trading our savings for her next rehab stint. Her texts to S laced with, Thanks for not hating me. You're the only good thing in my life." "Wait," I said, dizzy. "You never had a sister?" He looked away. I couldn't fix her addiction back then. I still can't. I pulled free, my stomach hollow. All those nights he'd said he was working late, he'd been here, not with family, with her. The woman who'd once left him at the altar, now wheezing in front of me like a ghost he'd resurrected. My phone buzzed, a text from Essence. "Tell Jake I'm clean. Tell him I miss him." I stared at the screen, then at Jake's trembling hands. The betrayal wasn't in the lies. It was in the truth. He'd never chosen me, not really. Just borrowed time, borrowed love, and I'd let him. I froze, the phone trembling in my hand. The woman on the couch, his ex, coughed, her eyes locking onto mine. "You don't know who I am," she said, her voice rasping like sandpaper. Jake's face paled. "Lena, you said your name was Sarah," I whispered, my mind reeling, the photos in his wallet, the way he'd described her. "She's not my sister." But she wasn't his ex either, because I'd seen the truth in his texts. "Mom's in the hospital again. Tell Lena I'm on my way." Lena. My younger sister, the one I'd stopped speaking to after she stole my engagement ring 6 years ago. The room tilted. Lena coughed again, her fingers brushing her neck, where a fresh IV line snaked into her skin. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Hem," she said. "Jake found me in the ER last year. Mom had OD'd. I didn't know how else to get clean." Jake stepped forward, his voice breaking. "I promised Mom I'd protect you both. When Lena relapsed, I told her to pretend she was my cousin. I didn't want you to know she was your sister, your half-sister, and that Mom had kept her existence a secret." My breath shattered. Half-sister. The girl who'd lied to me, who'd taken my ring, who I'd blamed for years. She was blood. My blood. Lena reached for me, her hand shaking. I'm so sorry for the ring. I didn't want to hurt you. I needed something to hold on to." The tears came then, not from betrayal, but from the weight of all the lies we'd built our lives around. Jake's hands found my shoulders. "I never meant to keep this from you." I found the hotel receipt tucked inside Jake's wallet at the bottom of his coat pocket. The date was 3 weeks ago, the night he said he was working late. The name on the receipt? The Whitmore Inn, a boutique place 2 hours away. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it, the ink smudged but legible. Occupancy, 2. I waited until he got home, monitoring his every move. When he dropped his keys on the counter, I slid the receipt onto the table. He froze, his smile cracking. "That's a misunderstanding," he said, too quickly. I pulled up his phone, locked. He reached for it, but I snatched it away. "Who's L?" I asked, quoting the text thread with a number he'd never admitted existed. His jaw tightened. "It's not what you think." The next morning, I dug through his work calendar. A client meeting on the same date? Canceled at 2 p.m. that day. I called his office, pretending to be a vendor. His assistant confirmed. He's been working from home since noon. I confronted him. "You lied about being at work." He ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. "I needed space that night, that's all." Then my friend Mia texted me a photo. Jake outside the Whitmore Inn, arm linked with a woman I didn't recognize. Her caption, "You're such a good friend for helping me fake this trip. Love you." My stomach dropped. I confronted Jake again, voice shaking. "Who's the woman in this photo?" He stared at the floor. "Her name's Elena. She's my sister." I laughed, bitter. "You're a sister? You've never mentioned a sister." He swallowed hard. "She's not Biologically, I took her in after our mom died. She's my responsibility. The pieces clicked. Elena's number in his texts, the work trips during her job interviews, the Whitmore Inn, her only paid internship, in a town where she had no connections. Jake finally looked at me, eyes raw. She needed a place to stay. I couldn't let her sleep in her car. I felt the world tilt. All this time I'd been unraveling a story I didn't understand, while he'd been unraveling himself to hold another secret together. I spent the next 3 days digging through Elena's life. Her Instagram stories of job rejections, her TikTok rants about rent hikes, her DMs to Jake, "I'll pay you back when I get this internship." All the while, he'd been funneling his savings into her future, lying to me about every work trip to shuttle her to interviews. I wanted to scream, "Why didn't you tell me?" But the truth was, I'd spent months assuming the worst. Then, on the 4th night, my phone buzzed. A call from Elena. Jake answered, voice trembling. "She's not feeling well. I think it's appendicitis." By 2 a.m., we were in the ER, him clutching her hand while doctors prepped for surgery. I watched his knuckles whiten, his body language screaming, "I'm doing this alone." Afterward, in the hospital chapel, he finally broke. "She's not my sister." The words hit like a gut punch. "Her mom was my ex. She OD'd 6 months ago. Elena's 17. I'm her legal guardian." I froze. Legal guardian. The pieces snapped into place, her age, the desperate job hunt, the way she'd avoided eye contact when I met her. He whispered, "I couldn't risk you hating me. You'd think I got her pregnant or something." I wanted to rage, to demand why he'd buried this truth instead of trusting us. But as Elena's IV dripped quietly in the next room, I realized this wasn't infidelity. It was a man drowning in a secret, trying to keep a child afloat. The final twist? Elena wasn't his at all. Her birth certificate listed a name I recognized, my own, my biological half-sister born when I was in foster care. The truth had been sitting in my family's DNA all along. The final twist? Elena wasn't his at all. Her birth certificate listed a name I recognized, my own, my biological half-sister born when I was in foster care. The truth had been sitting in my family's DNA all along. I stared at Jake, my hands shaking. "You knew. You knew who I was." His eyes glistened. "Your mom, my ex, she told me to call you if things got bad. She didn't want you to find out through someone else. Not after everything, everything." The word echoed. My childhood in foster care, my mom's disappearance, the hollow ache of never fitting anywhere. Elena's existence was a mirror, proof I'd been right to feel fractured, but also a bridge. That night I sat in Elena's hospital room, her IV humming like a heartbeat. She stirred, murmuring, "I'm sorry," in a voice that sounded like mine. I brushed her hair back, the same way I'd once wished someone had brushed mine. Jake found me there at dawn, slumped in a plastic chair. He didn't speak, just held my hand, his thumb tracing the scar on my wrist I'd never told him about, the one from when I tried to outrun my past. Now, I'm not running. I'm stitching us together, one raw truth at a time.